everyone, welcome along to the LARP Tales podcast. My name is Oliver. I am one half of your hosting duo. Joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Robyn. Hey, Robyn.
Hello.
And today we are going to be recording our second part of our recap of And Now My Watch Begins, which was a one-shot, I'll get to it in a second, Game of Thrones style LARP. Here in the UK at Eversley, run by Feast Your Eyes. So before we get into this show, the housekeeping: if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. If you are new here, consider subscribing to the channel so you know when a new episode is posted. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform, be it Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I always pause there because I always go to say iTunes. It hasn't been iTunes in decades. Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review so people can find us. We also do have a Patreon if you want to support us in that way. Give us a little bit of extra help so we can continue bringing you more episodes. You are, of course, under no obligation to do so. You can watch and listen to our content completely for free. Now, before I roll the intro music, another little bit of housekeeping with this. As of recording this yesterday, Feast Your Eyes announced that there is going to be more A Song of Ice and Fire games that they're doing. So when we did the recording for the first part, I was under the impression that there was going to be no more. It's going to be a one shot. There isn't going to be a sequel. I haven't talked to Kitty yet, one of the organizers, so they're doing 2 games. One of them is going to be not taking place at the wall. I won't go into the details. If people, I will put all the links for these as well down below. There's going to be a one that's going to be taking place around about I think it's like the start of Robert's Rebellion.
It's from what I read, it was more like like around the start, but like a what if sort of.
Yeah, it's like a what
style.
if thing, and then they're doing a nightmare version of And Now My Watch Begins, this game that we're talking about now, which is going to be basically another kind of alternate, but it's being set in the future, and the idea is that it's horror and everyone's going to die in the end at the end of this year. They also did announce as well that they're going to do a second. I think they said a second round of And Now My Watch Begins early 2025. So I don't know whether that means they're going to be running the same game again or whether it's going to be a sequel or continuation of story. I don't know. Hopefully I've not, like you and I, haven't spoiled the whole storyline for everyone who wants to come. But if you're enjoying this, you're like, hey, I want to try it anyway. Hey, I mean, if they do basically the similar story again, and it's just new recruits again, then I'd be up for crewing it this time.
Oh, 100%. I'd be up for crewing because
Yeah,
that was incredible. Like, and all the crew were like going on about how much fun it was. But
yeah,
like the one that they've announced for like the 14 years later sort of one, where it's meant to be chasing after like Benjen. I'm like, how cool would it be to bring Jonquil and Florian as like veteran rangers at this
yeah,
point? Like,
yeah.
how cool would it be?
Yeah, because I think they said any character, whether they lived or died, would be
Which is
uh,
pretty cool.
yeah, would be welcome back. Which also means that it's that they're looking kind of for people to come back and play. Anyway, yeah, so that one's called Now My Watch Has Ended. I can't remember the name of the other one, but go check out if you're interested in these types of games that we're talking about. This game currently that we're talking about, go check out Feast Your Eyes. I'll put their links down in the description. So with that, I will roll the epic intro music. There we go, wasn't that epic? So last we left off, our characters Florian and Jonquil had arrived at the wall. We had hung out in Molestown the night before, met some of our future brothers and sisters of the Night's Watch. In the morning, we had done we'd done a time jump of like a couple of weeks. We had done a training montage where we did some fighting, did some grappling. Then we did another little time jump after we swore our oaths. So we had headed north of the wall to go find a weirwood tree so that the knights, the brothers and sisters that worship the old gods could swear their oath in front of it. We came in contact with a group of wildlings known as the Fens, who were capturing, or were they trying to kill him? I don't know what they were trying to do. Basically, someone was crying for help. We saved this wildling from these Fens. This wildling was so this was corrected. We were talking about the wildlings that we were staying with were called marsh keepers, not marsh walkers.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
I think a
fair
lot
enough.
of the players and the crew were calling them marsh walkers. It gets more confusing because there's more wildlings that
There's
show
more
up
ones
later.
that have got Walker's as second name, and
Yeah,
it's like, yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So the marsh keepers are hosting the Night's Watch, and we went out. We dealt with a few more Fens, and we captured one. And the fen that we had captured was poisoned by the village elder of the marsh keepers. We then got attacked by um, some some different wildlings plus a bear. I had chased down the bear with a load of other Night's Watch members, and killing two bears. I thought I was safe, and then I turn around and there is another bear between myself and home, and I was there with one other. I think there could have been two other rangers, but definitely me and one other ranger were right there. Anyway, so I turn around. There is a massive bear in front of me, and I'm like, right, I'll go the other way. Now, this is the first time on this site as well, out of character. I don't know, like, it is thick brush throughout that whole. It's a woods, right? So
Yeah.
the ranger that I was with just bolts the other direction and then goes through into the. I'm like, I'm just gonna have to follow, right? I'm just gonna have to follow. And I remember saying to them, I was like, do you know where you're going? They're like, I think so. And so we had to basically like go through, and it was like, yeah, we had to crawl through like really, really thick underbrush to basically do a massive like circle up and around up the hill, and then end up on the other side of the bear. And that's when we met a load more of the Night's Watch. So what were you doing when you found out that we were off chasing a bear? Because this is where I met you.
So, meanwhile, back at the Marsh Keepers land, they were just chilling out, having a great time, having some interesting conversations, when suddenly a member of the Night's Watch comes running out from where a few people disappeared off to, out of breath, calling for help, saying, we need people down here. And we're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, cool, where is Florian? Of course, he's down there. So I grab my stuff and I just start running like down the hill. And as we're running, we pass like more of our veteran members and they stop us and they're like, no one can go down there. And they give us this look and we're like, why? And they're like, no, we cannot have anyone else go down there. We need to stay here. We need to figure out. And I was like, where's the other rangers? Where are they? He's like, don't know. We don't know. And I was like, yep, saw that. So I ran down, and that's when I see you like crawling out of the bit. And we managed to get you out and everything. And that's when we basically ran into each other. It's when you were coming out of that weird bit of like bush. And I remember like the first thing you saying to me was like, it's a big bear.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Then...
yeah. I mean, I remember because I remember coming out and being like, oh yeah, we saw a bear. I remember saying you like out of character. I was like, oh yeah, that was really good, but you would not have liked that that encounter because of the baby bear.
So this is where you like explained to me. You were like, yeah, you would not have liked that, and then you explained kind of what happened with the cup and stuff. And I was like, oh, I am so glad I wasn't there actually, because I would have just been like, nah,
no, check out.
Not for me.
Yeah.
In fact, I pretty much did that here as well when the bear came into it, because I know it was a big scary bear, but it was a bear. I
Yeah.
couldn't. I
Yeah.
couldn't. I was like, I'm sorry, can't do this.
But what was hilarious, obviously, we came out, and then obviously like the majority of like the Night's Watch were then in that. So for people to visualize this, so the Fizz rep for the Marshkeeper village that we were staying in, and a lot of their little settlements, that the roads that come off them into the woods, like it's properly thick woods, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
you can't it's very difficult to stray off the path. So as we're on this path, we are like really bottlenecked, and so we're all there. And so yeah, because obviously only a small fraction of us went down the first time, and now as we come up, having just been chased by this bear, a load of the keen, especially a few of the keen rangers, are like, oh, there's a bear. I'll go take a bear, and I'm like, it's big, it's a big bear, Like I think they were just, oh yeah, that'd be cool. So it was quite hilarious to then see them all start walking down and going, oh, that is a big bear.
Because like we all basically end up in this bottleneck. Now we knew so I just like ran through a bit where it was open, and the more veteran rangers were like, no, stay back here. We'll lure it into this big open space so we can like surround it. No, we all just ran to the bottleneck. And
Yeah.
it was, I guess this tells me something about myself, because I was like, can't do it. That's a bear. Can't hurt it. Can't hit it. I know it's not a real bear. Can't do it. We then hear the shouts of wildlings. I was like, I'll kill the wildlings. Goodbye. I just turned around and ran into all these wildlings coming down, because I was like,
Yeah.
I can happily fight these wildlings. I can't hurt the bear.
Yeah. So I got a bit confused at what happened here. So I'm assuming the bear was there to just like lure us out of that position, and then we got jumped basically by these wildlings that seemed to come from nowhere. So it became a little bit of a claustrophobic, in a fun way, claustrophobic like battle, didn't it? Because like you could only have like 4 or 5 people abreast on that, on those pathways, and
Yeah.
obviously because of the way the road winds as well, you can't really see at a distance enemies coming front and like from behind and in front of you, and then it's on a slope as well, going like up not a super steep hill, but it's steep enough that it affects the way you're going to be fighting, and because
Yeah.
there's thick brush as well that you can technically go through, there were people like jumping out the side every now and again, it's a very risky move, because we did it a few times, we'll get to that. But yeah, some of the wildlings were obviously coming like out and surprising us. But the problem is, once you spot them, it's very difficult for them to maneuver. So once you did spot them, you just kind of stab them through the bush, and it was
Yeah.
that was kind of it for them. But yeah, if they pounce right, I think they took a few people down on that first push. I
They
think.
did. They took quite a few people down actually, and then
Mm,
like until we got into more of a formation. And what was really cool here is obviously we do lots of fighting at Empire. I think this is my first real experience at almost like a lesson mid fight in a sense, because I was there and we had one of our like veterans there and everything, and he was leading this part, and he was like, right, okay, and he put us into 2 roles, and I was in the role like with him sort of thing. And he was like, okay, and he was explaining how we were doing it as we were doing it, and he was explaining how to like leapfrog and how to do that. And I was like, wow, I actually like, out of character, I learned a lot in that bit there, because I learned how to, and it controlled it so quickly, and I was like, wow. Because at first I was like, wow, we are getting surrounded. Half of us just fell down. We're trying to pick people up. And instantly it turned the battle round to be like, oh, we're in control. We are not letting anyone fall. And we're able to be quite powerful here. That was like really cool getting to do that. Yeah, despite the fact that we did lose another Stuart there. Sorry,
yeah.
Stuarts.
Yeah, we lost.
Sorry.
Yeah, we lost. So we lost Stewie because a few people went down basically right at the dip where the bear was. Obviously, as people were trying to attack the bear, we then got, because there's like a fork in the road. So if the bear was down to the right, the wildlings all started coming really from the left, and then they were behind us as well, and a lot of people got swept up there. So the leap, like explain, because I'm a little bit confused as well. So explain, what is the actual tactic of the leapfrogging?
Okay, I might be totally incorrect here, but this
Yeah.
is what I think it is you've got your 2 rows of people. So you've got the row that's in the front fighting, and the row just behind them, and you almost like switch places in a form. So you're like one row's in the front fighting, and then they move back and the other row move forward into that place and fight. And then we keep doing that. It's like you've constantly got this fresh sort of like group of people in there while we're moving backwards as we're doing it.
Yeah.
That's what my understanding was. And it was really cool the way that worked. It was like we had two rows and you step back and the person that was behind you at your shoulder was forward, but you were all still moving backwards. It was just quite a cool tactic. Yeah. Also, did you watch Georgia get into the fight with the bear, by the way?
No, because I'd already
that?
No, I'd already done my bit with the bears, so I was like, that's
Sorry, that's
enough.
the thing, because I've just because like the bear, because the bear did get taken in pretty quickly, but it was Georgia was in there and got completely mauled by this bear, like the claws going right over her face and everything, and it was like
epic.
it was epic, and I fully thought that she was getting killed by a bear. It like took her eye off and everything, and it was properly epic. It was just happened like a frenzy attack as well. It was so fast. I was like, wow, she's gone. Spoiler, she didn't die from the bear. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, and then we carried on going back, and there was a few more wilding attacks. So we really focused on we had to get everybody back out of this sort of choke, get away from these sort of like side bits that we're getting surrounded by. And then this is where we kind of went into a bit of a rut where we were like, no, we should be retreating. A group of people retreated, other people didn't retreat, and then we ended up stuck a little bit. And then as we were like, right, so the person that the veteran that was like in charge of our bit was like, get out of here, sort of thing. We started moving back. Someone did get taken at this point, didn't they?
Oh, they must have.
Yes,
I guess
somebody had got taken at this point.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do a little shout out to the Lannister player because you put up with a lot this weekend. You really did. I'm sorry. You took it so well. Like
probably signed up for being a Lannister.
Oh, you took it so well because everyone went at the same time. They have one of ours. And then this rumor went around that it was Lannister, and everyone went, nah. Yeah. We later found out it wasn't the
Lannister. So yeah, so was it obvious to you that these were different? These weren't Fen?
No.
I noticed because I was like, they've got animal stuff on them. Yeah, and they could talk. Yeah,
it was obvious when they started to speak. At that point, it took me a little while to realize the difference, but to be fair, I think that worked quite well because I was there on the night watch and I was like, I don't care if they're a Fen or if they're wilding. I don't care what kind of wilding they are. They're a wilding.
Yeah, they're attacking us.
I think it worked quite well.
Yeah. So we made it back. We did fight them off. They did, like, we were basically doing a fight and retreat. Ended up back in the village. Was there like a revelation of who they were? Did the Marsh Keepers then like tell us who they were? Yeah.
So it then became, this is where things got a little bit muddied, because there was this whole thing about these bears. Now, people can correct me at this point because everyone's saying different things. Now, some people were saying that the bears were coming in to lure us out. I don't think that's what happened at all. Like, I really don't think that's what happened in the slightest. Because the first bear was meant to be like the baby bear coming in that had genuinely wandered off. And then everybody got their backs up. And because the Marsh Keepers were like, we need to attack it, they've sent it to kill us, we all ran in this frenzied attack. Then, obviously, the other wildlings did come in to attack. So there was all that happening. But then the group went off to hunt the bear. I think that then caused all that to happen. I don't think anything was supposed to happen there.
In defense of the Night's Watch, I will say we didn't frenzy. We definitely were, because like when it first came, we were like, oh, go away, bear. And then but then the Marsh Keeper kept being like, oh no, you need to kill it. You need to go kill it. So it wasn't just
I think this was like the Marsh Keepers who were being like, no, we need to do that, because it was the Marsh Keepers when we came back who were like, oh no, like that bear, that wasn't actually a bear. And they were like telling us all these things, and they were being like super like worried and freaked out about all the animals. The point, it made us all a bit like, oh, the animals out to get us around here? What's happening?
So this is where we found out who the clan was, though, right?
This is where we found out it was the elk clan. So the elk clan are like your sort of your tribe of people who have, what's the name of it again? Wargs. Yeah, I go. They have wargs, and a warg is someone who can put their soul into that of an animal while still having their physical form somewhere else. For those of you who watch Game of Thrones, Brandon Stark did a very similar thing where he was physically there, but his soul was in his wolf Summer. And that's kind of like a similar sort of idea. But the wargs are meant to be quite common. Now, the marsh keepers were giving us the impression that they were all out to get them, and it was the wargs that was causing all the Fen problem. The wargs were watching us with their birds and telling the Fen what was happening, and that's how all this sort of suspicion came around. I don't remember what happened in this next bit here, though, because we kind of had all that revelation.
Yeah, we had that revelation because so in my mind, the next event was the meeting in the woods. So at some point, the elk clan came to basically parley and went, "Hey, look, we have one of yours, you have one of ours," and we were a little bit like. Apparently, we had one of theirs. We find out who we had basically, but they wanted to speak. So the marsh keepers went, okay, cool, and we facilitate. Now, my character, and I'm assuming your character, didn't really have much to do with this. So we were just like being told what to do, or did you have any idea? Did you know what was going on, really? Because I didn't.
I had a bit of an idea because I was in the first group that was meant to be going over and doing the talking and everything.
No, I meant like before that, like because like from when we came back from that encounter to until we were heading out, I didn't actually know what was going on.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure actually. I don't think at this bit because there was a lot of chat and things. It was actually one of the veteran rangers. They ended up like explaining a load of things to me because things had gotten a bit hairy and people weren't like listening to their orders and things. And they then like came to speak to me after to be like, sorry for shouting at you back there, sort of thing. And I think my response was something along the lines of, you've been here for like a ridiculously long time and haven't died. I've been here 3 weeks. I'm going to listen to you. And we had this sort of like back and forth. And then we started talking about like what we think was happening. But not really. I kind of was keeping my distance from these wildlings at this point. So no, not until it came to our separate meetings. That's when I found out what was happening. We had our individual meetings.
So I mean, because it was dark, wasn't it? That's one thing I remember about this. It was getting dark because I remember being able to see people heading out. So it must have been just about when the sun was setting, and we had a little bit of kind of torchlight and things like that going down. So we the Night's Watch and the Marsh Keepers went out into the woods to meet with the Elk Clan, and for me, I was just like on watch. I was basically getting bits and pieces. I think you actually came and informed me what was going on, so you're probably better off explaining all of this because I missed all of it.
The information changes. So this is the information that we got at this point. Okay. So we had the Elk Clan meeting with the Marsh Keepers. And when they were having this conversation, it became apparent that the leader of like the Elk Clan, his son had been killed by the marsh keepers, and his bones were still with the marsh keepers somewhere. I also found out at this point that it was the bones of a rabbit. This is about as much information as I got here, although we did kind of suspect. A few of us were talking between each other, and we were like, the leader of the marsh walkers has bones around their neck. Could this be the rabbit bones of the son? And we had this sort of conversation back and forth and everything.
Yeah.
The marsh walkers, the Elk Clan gave us back the one they took. It wasn't the Lannister. So we're glad to have this one back. So they gave us back the one that they took. And they were unharmed. They were totally fine. And nothing had been done to them. The marsh keepers did not give any bones over.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where this sort of thing ended. And it was almost like the outcome were trying to show that I feel in this sense, this was nothing to do in a sense with the marsh keepers.
Yeah.
I think this was a lot of the elk clan trying to kind of, they weren't happy with the Night's Watch for being with them, but I think they were trying to prove a point to the Night's Watch of being like, we don't have beef with you. We have beef with these people. Here's your person back. You have now witnessed what's happening here.
Yeah. Also at this point, we had gotten new orders because you corrected me on the last episode. Apparently, we had orders, and then we had new orders when we encountered the Fen. Because so I knew that the builder's job was to go get ponies, and the Elk Clan has the ponies. So we really didn't want to. Either we had to like make friends with the Elk Clan or kill all the Elk Clan because they had the ponies that we needed. But you were saying last time as well, like the Rangers had new orders from the Knight Commander, because your objective definitely changed to find out why the Thens are coming south.
I don't know. Someone's going to have to correct me in the comments here because I didn't think our objective changed at all. I thought our objective was quite clear. We were there to escort rangers to...
Yeah, because I thought that was just like, oh yeah, we either have to go south to a weirwood tree or we go north to a weirwood tree, but we need to go north anyway because to do...
Get ponies.
Get ponies, and the stewards had to do something as well. Whatever, people can put it down in the comments.
Because you could say it changed to fight the Thens, but that was always, and it's the Night's Watch is there to like get rid of wildlings and clear the area, so that wouldn't have been like a new. That's always there. That's always something they do. When it comes to them moving south, we didn't fully know all of this yet until the moot. That's when we found out a bit more information here, and that's when it revealed certain things about the Night's Watch that made me kind of question a bit and think, maybe Mance Rayder had a point.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, I gotta admit, like the show. I gotta admit, the show didn't really. I don't know what
that across as well.
No, I don't know what. Again, I haven't read the books, but the show didn't actually do a very good job. They very much showed it from the point of view of the Southerners, and that they really did put them. Obviously, you had the relationship between Jon Snow and Ygritte, but really as a people, they never really kind of explored them. So it was really fun to experience it through LARP. But you mentioned the moot there, so there was an agreement of a moot between the local wildling tribes, right?
Okay, so this is hilarious as well because this moot was happening. And this moot is something that it gets explained to us all in character really well. But just to clear up, this is something that does happen. It doesn't happen very often, okay? This is a very sacred thing of these different groups coming together to share their news, to share their concerns and what they think people should be helping them with and so on. And it's a very sacred thing. As you can imagine, the Night's Watch have never been involved with this before. But this was a moot that was kind of called, and the Night's Watch were there. And a lot of the Night's Watch, I don't think were fully informed as to what was happening, because what I heard is I came back into the camp and people were shouting, being like, there's wildlings there again. We need to run and meet them. And I was like, okay. And as quite a few Night's Watch members thought, oh, this is another fight, because we'd had so many fights. So we're just like, yeah. Luckily, one of the veterans stopped us, explained, no, please put your swords away, go sit down, stop getting into fights, and we're all good.
Yeah. I think a lot of people kind of knew, and then so we had, what were the trucks? So there was the
Ridge Walkers.
The Ridge Walkers, and I only remember that because we were sat and talking to a load of Ridge Walkers.
Because we had a very good Ridge Walker. A very, very good Ridge Walker telling us so much.
But the other one from the other the tribesmen on your other side, and they had quite a few. Were these the ones that were like the something giants or something? I can't remember what the stone.
stone giants or something.
I can't remember
It was
what.
to do with stones, I think.
Yeah, and each of their kits were quite unique. But obviously, so this is around about the time. I'm pretty sure we had like dinner right before this.
No,
Or was it
we did
after
not.
this? No, really.
Aha.
Ah,
So,
ah,
so
ah.
all these different tribes are coming in. And they're coming in, and this is for the moot. And the moot is something they're all quite excited about. And we're all starting to gather. And dinner is served. But there are special instructions. The night's watch will be served first.
Ah, yeah.
They
That's
have to
right.
go and get their food first. Out of character, the players will to go get their food first.
Yeah, because we paid the most money to play the game. So
Out of character, they want to make sure we all actually ate something, and
yeah,
then in character get too frightened to put the wildlings in the queue with us.
yeah.
So we went, we got our food, and because that created quite a bit of interesting role play. Can
Mm.
I just stop as well and
Sure.
talk about the food?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. They did really well feeding
Right,
us. Yeah,
they did. Okay.
yeah.
They did these like big, huge like breads. That wasn't that big.
It was pretty. It was a loaf of bread that you fed us. Like
And
it was
they,
an
they, like,
actual loaf of bread.
cut it in half. They turned it into a bowl. They put cheese in it, and then they filled it with this thick broth.
Looks stew,
And then
yeah.
they put like the bread on top of it as well. And I was just like, this was amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah, chicken and yeah, it was stew
there
with
was
like
chicken.
beans and it was good.
Oh, it was everything. It was really
Yeah,
good. It was
especially like on a cold night. You know, again, it was a loaf of bread, but you know, at LARP we've done a lot of running around. It's cold. It's January. You're gonna need a lot of calories. That was the perfect type of food, and it looks in character as well. You know,
It looks in character. It was really beautiful as well. The sharing around the fire as well, because everybody was like sharing between them and stuff. It was really nice. So we got food, and this was kind of what started some of the role play originally, was when people were talking about like, oh, are the Night's Watch getting fed before us? And then this is when we actually said the right thing. It's because we've been killing Fen all day. And we found the one thing that actually united every single group here was they hate the Fen.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate them. As soon as they realized, and as soon as we told them how many we had killed that one day, we went up in all of their books, and they all kind of went, okay, they're killing the Fen.
Yeah.
Cool. And this led off to this beautiful piece of conversation, which worked really well, because I think it's really hard to narratively put something together if we were constantly at each other's throats here, because the moot needed something to bring us together.
Yeah. The moot was. I'm not going to call it clunky, but I could definitely sense that the NPCs, because there was a long time, and this was the issue with having, like the Night's Watch being that difficult types of characters to hook, unless like literally you've got the Knight Commander being like, right, go do that, or you know, your Sworn Brothers will kill you if you don't do it. It's very difficult to like hook them in. So and then at this point, you know, people had dinner, and there was like people were like away from the fire. They weren't really close to what was going on with the moot. So obviously the NPCs were sent there to be like, right, we're having this moot, and the Night's Watch are going to be observers. But there wasn't. I could sense that there wasn't really a good part for them to be like, right, let's start the moot, because maybe there was only like 5 of us like sat around the fire, you know, and they didn't want to do this whole like thing, and then half of the player base go, wait, what's happening? What's happening? So they kind of had to time it a little bit to be like, right, okay, and then it built, didn't it? Luckily, we were just sat by the fire anyway, you know, so we saw the whole thing. But...
Yeah, so we had some incredible role play. We got to learn about all these different groups. We got to learn about the Ridge Walkers and how much they hate bridges. And we had this whole back and forward. It's quite funny to hear a builder have this back and forward about bridges with this Ridge Walker.
Like, why wouldn't you want bridges? No, they're not natural.
Natural.
I think what he said? I prefer to walk 10 miles around than go across a bridge. I'm like,
it was perfect though. Oh, by the way, I don't know, like, so the NPC that was next to me, the one with the severed hand in your pocket, I had so much fun role playing with this person. Like, it was just a lot of fun. They were kind of scary at first, and then they kind of like softened, which was quite fun. I was just having so much fun back and forward, because secretly one of us had stolen the hand. And it created this whole thing. And I'd kind of made like a little bit of a bet of, I'm going to get them to give me the hand. I don't need to steal it. They'll give me this hand. I'm going to figure out a way. And unfortunately, stuff happened and it got in the way of that. But whoever you are, the person who played this NPC, this was some brilliant role play, and I had so much fun. And I just want to put it out there: you would have given me that hand if we just had a bit more time. You would have given that hand to me. Yeah. Even if it was just for a few seconds, you would.
Yeah. So anyway, like, so that they all start, talking amongst themselves. Again, it was a little bit like, it was tricky. It was a tricky little encounter for the crew to navigate. I felt, because the players were like just supposed to observe. There wasn't anything like really hooking us. Some of the more intuitive players, i.e. Maz, kind of picked up on what was going on and was like, okay, so and she ended up getting our characters like involved because there was so basically you could feel the tensions. Oh, go on, Robyn, you look like
there's something that happened before all this.
Go on.
And it leads to it. The Elk Clan. They role play the Elk Clan. And this is where I decided I have no idea what my character actually does or thinks or anything, and I just went with my own emotions here. This is Elle's 52nd NPC of the weekend.
It felt like it.
Yeah. So Elle's 52nd NPC of the weekend was telling me the story, and she was there next to the leader of the Elk Clan. She was telling me the actual truth about the leader's son. And I was on my knees with her on her knees, and I had her hands in mine as she cried and told me the story.
Oh, I didn't realize you got the story before it all kicked off.
I got the full story. She had her hands in mine, and we sat there, and she told me. Okay. The leader of the Elk Clan had a son who was 6 years old, a son who loved to play and loved nursery rhymes and was also a warg, but he only ever warged into prey animals. He was just really good of heart and good of nature. He spent most of his time as a rabbit. He loved being a rabbit, and he loved going out to play and then coming back in at night and then heading out to play. This is what he did. He brightened everybody around him with his laugh, with his kind heart and caring nature. Until the day came where he was killed. But it wasn't as straightforward as somebody accidentally shooting a rabbit and not realizing it. No. They killed the child. They killed the actual kid. So his soul was trapped in the rabbit. And the clan knew it was trapped inside the rabbit. And still, they killed the rabbit and they ate it. And they kept his bones, knowing who this was. And then, when the Elk Clan came and asked for the bones to be returned, just the bones, and they would have left it. They just wanted the bones back. They had their own method of burial. They wanted to at least give him that. They were refused, and to this day have not received those bones back. And that's what started this. So that is what happened there between the two of them.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's then why, like, Maz's character was like, go, like, stuff's about to go down. Like, if the marsh keepers are definitely going to be aggressive towards the Elk Clan here, so just be ready, because we had a front row seat. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what? Okay.
So Maz touched our shoulders. Well, I was in the middle of getting this hand, I'm just going to point out. And Maz brought us over and just kind of went, we are going to protect the Elk Clan. The Night's Watch will protect them. I'd already had, this cry and tribe member holding my hands. I was like, yeah, I will die for this person at this point. Go for it.
Yeah.
And we agreed to that. And Before we get to this point, though, I think there's some really important context for what made me start to doubt whether I wanted to still be within the Night's Watch. Every single clan, now this moot, they were able to stand up, and if they stood up, they had to announce their name, where they're from, introduce themselves. It's a civil thing to do. And then they put forward their issue. Everybody had certain things. Some people had some very serious things to discuss. Some people were having trouble pleasing their wives in bed. That was deemed as not a serious thing, and they were told to sit back down. But it was really funny.
What was it he said? Oh man, yeah, because I remember thinking of a joke and then being like, no, oh, that was it, because he said he keeps his wife keeps riveting or something.
Yeah.
And
Was it?
yeah, it was like keeps riveting, and I was gonna make a joke along the lines of she's riveting for your pleasure or something like that. I don't, but I remember being like, no, it's not gonna work here. It doesn't work for my character. I distinctly remember that because I remember thinking of the joke and being like, no, it's not my character, because yeah, they were quite funny. Yeah, go on. Sorry, yeah, they were being civilized.
So
Yeah.
the more serious thing was the fact that every single one, the common thing was the Then. The Thens are traveling south. They're getting further and further south, and they're killing everyone and everything. They're going through everyone's lands. This is a big problem. And we were there with veteran members of the Night's Watch, and I remember having the conversation over what we're going to do. And then the veteran members of the Night's Watch, their response was, "Until they get to the wall, we don't care." I remember thinking, but we've just met all these people. We're sitting with these people. We're hearing stories. We're having fun. We're joking. We're hearing about their sorrows and their hard times, and we're also hearing about their joy and their families, their children, and we're sitting next to them, and they're all going to die. They're all going to be killed by this group of people, and we can fight these people. We've already proven all these wildlings are in awe of how many Then we have killed, and we barely broke a sweat some of the times. I'm like, well, we can help them. But no, the attitude was no, they're not going to get through the wall. That's our objective. That is our primary concern, is the wall. So no, we'll head back to the wall. The wildlings can fight amongst themselves, and then if they then get to the wall, we'll deal with them then. And that's when I kind of went, oh,
Yeah.
Mance was right.
Yeah, Mance was right. I mean that's a test at a role play, like a role play gold star to the veterans, because I will admit that seemed to
Yes.
be they were quite united on that front of, this is the brief. We are the Night's Watch. We've been doing this for a long time. Because every time I went to my veterans and went, hey, this is going on, like, should we be concerned? They're just like, no, wildling business. We're just here to do the job. And everybody that I spoke to that was a conscript seemed to have the same experience with their veterans and their order, which is good, because it kept the theme and the brief on point, but it also kept us at this like observer level as well of what is happening with the wildlings from a crew point. I think obviously us being willing to stand up. Well, I bet I've kind of just described what happened. So the Marshkeeper chief just basically, this is when everyone started paying attention. The Master Walker chief started basically having a go at all the others pretty much, but mainly the Elk clan. When the Elk clan were like, hey, this is what we've come for, because everyone else was like, oh, I've got this problem. We have the Fens as a problem. What other problems do we have? Just leaving it open. And then obviously the Elk clan was like, well, we have one big problem. We want our bones back. Similar story. And then the Marsh Keeper chief just showed their colors by saying, yeah, like, it wasn't a child, it was a monster, and blah blah blah. So it made it very clear. So then obviously, like, weapons were drawn, and a few of us.
Well, at this point here, I just say how the weapons were drawn, because this, by the way, like a big gold star again to the crew here, because the leader of the Elk clan had accepted this wasn't going to happen. He turned his back and went to leave. And as he was stepping down and stepping away from this area, this is when the leader of the Marsh Keepers drew weapon behind him.
Oh, that's
and
right.
This is what
yeah.
and this is when, like, all the other tribes as well at the same time We're like, no, we're out here, not a chance. And as this was happening, because we'd already been briefed, we just weapons drawn and we were instantly there to
Mm.
protect the Elk Clan. We were not having any of it. There was no actual fighting. The threat was enough.
Mm-hmm.
The Elk Clan left. The other tribes left. Everyone went. And we were awkwardly left with the marsh keepers.
Yeah, so yeah, this was it gave a good like sense. Also, like from a crew perspective, I think that's what they were after that because of what followed afterwards, right? I think the kind of response that some of us had in that moment, that's exactly what they were kind of after from a plot wise, because they did like the Elk Clan like specifically said as they were leaving, "Oh, Night's Watch, it's been noted that you protected us there. You have allies in us tomorrow. Remember that tomorrow," basically. So they were. It
Yeah.
was like this is kind of where they wanted to go narratively, and it was very obvious that then we were then left alone. And a few of us didn't care. Some of us were like, "Do we feel safe sleeping here now? We know the true colors of this." Clan that is hosting us.
Yeah, it was a weird one, but like it kind of like settled down a bit, and then this next bit was weird because we didn't actually know a lot about what was happening next, because quite soon after, quite a big group of Night's Watch headed off out. And nobody really, well, some people obviously did know, but I think it was like a little bit like mixed. Some people were like, oh, we think they've ran after the Elf clan to speak to them. Others were like, oh, I think they're trying to track down the other clans to find out more information. Others were like, maybe they'll look for somewhere else to stay for the night. It came out that what they were actually doing was tracking the Then to see where they were, to kind of scout out their numbers really and get a better idea as to what we're actually dealing with the next day. But us in character kind of found out a little later. We're like, where is everyone?
Yeah, so basically,
that's when like some of them kind of go for it, yeah.
I mean, basically, there was an encounter. It was like set up for. I found out kind of later. It was set up for kind of a fewer players, and a few players were just kind of whisked away to go do some reconnaissance. It kind of went wrong. One of them got snatched, and they kept coming back, being like, "Oh no!" And then more would go out, and then a few would come back, and then more would go out. So everyone just kept going out. There was like the last encounter of the day really, and it was a little bit like I don't really want to go running out there. It's getting late. Who knows what's out there?
I like went to step out there, and we had the veteran that I had like spent quite a bit of time with, and they were like, no, no one else is going out here. And they explained to me like exactly why, and I was like, okay, cool. So I went up into the tower and just stood there and kept watch.
Yeah, no, it was quite atmospheric seeing, especially like in the dimness of the light, like watching people come back home but not knowing who they were or whatever. And that was quite cool. I will go back as well, because a big chunk of our night was taken up by going to the weirwood tree. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So we luckily pretty much everyone went, because at first it was like, oh, those who want to swear to the old gods. We've got the weirwood tree, and then people, oh, does anyone want to witness? But then it became clear that I think it must have come down from crew somehow. They're like, no, you want to watch, because it obviously was like it was something for all the players to go see, because they had obviously put on something.
It was so it was quite a long sort of trek to get there. And we had to like trek through all the
The thing is, you don't know how long, because we didn't know that we could have just been going in a spiral. I don't know.
It was dark and slippy, so it felt long. But the crew had gone all the way down there with torches. They helped us. They like grabbed they like held our hands to get over certain bits.
It was
and
pretty
everything.
cool. It was pretty cool.
It felt like we were more of like a family and a unity when we were doing this, which was quite nice.
Yeah.
So what's really unique about this tree? There's many things are unique about it, okay? If we actually look at the books and the series and everything, it has eyes that are bleeding. These trees have faces within them. It's not so much that the faces are carved, the trees have faces. But what else is quite unique about the trees is the leaves. These leaves are like different. They're almost like autumnal, if that makes sense. We are north of the wall where nothing's really growing. Everything is covered in snow and ice and frost. So the set dressing here was perfect. they had the right sort of light shining on this tree, and they had a painted face on it with the eyes bleeding. And they had taken lots and lots of autumnal foliage and wrapped it round the branches, had the lights hitting the right angles. And all I remember being was like, I just remember kept tapping you, being like, oh my gosh, look at this bit. Oh wow, look at this bit. And it felt like you were actually, it was just the attention to detail was perfect here.
Yeah.
And we got to sit, we got to listen, we got to watch. And this didn't feel like the oath that we had sworn. This felt like a different oath because swearing the oath to the old gods compared to the new gods should feel different. And it did.
Yeah, it was cool to see see the people who chose their characters to worship the old gods get something a little bit of a different experience, to everyone else. I'm assuming, I think there's pictures of it. We'll put pictures up. And saying, saying that, I meant to say this at the beginning of the episode. Because obviously we had, when I was editing the last episode, we got some pictures through. Some photographs through from the event that we used for thumbnails, obviously, and they're in the episode, but we didn't have them when we recorded the episode. So we had an absolutely outstanding set of photos from our friend Nat of Astora Photography. Their sets that they put out is absolutely, I just love them so much. I just love them so much. They're so cinematic, that I'm like, there's a couple of shots in there of me, and I'm like, I didn't even know I could look like that.
Oh, you were just like, oh my gosh, how did they manage to get a shot like this? How I didn't know that this could be possible. I mean, like, it looks like stills from the TV show. That's how these shots are. They are just beautiful. They're perfect. And half of the shots as well, like in full like tog fashion. I did not know you were there, Nat.
Yeah.
I don't know where you were hiding to get those shots. You must have been within one of the trees, or maybe you were in the bear suit. I don't know, but you got some great shots.
I think there's a few more coming out just recently from, I think it's Gorgon Photography as well, that are looking really, really cool. So we'll showcase some of them.
There's a few photographers, so once they all come out, we'll definitely share.
Yeah, we'll put links to all of them. We'll put links to the websites and things like that as well down below if you want to go check out Astora's album as well on their Facebook. I think they have a Facebook with their album.
They've got Facebook. They've got an Instagram as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll link all that down below. You can go check them out. It was so good. I mean, the LARP photography is so important, because like it is as much. It's a bit like cosplay. Like the photography is almost as important as the hobby itself. Looking at those memories and looking how cool everything looked. Anyway, that was kind of it for the Saturday once we'd come back. What was weird about Saturday is that we did a lot stretched out over a long period of time. Now, Empire, I'm used to fighting like once a day. In this game, we did a lot of fighting. And honestly, it got to like 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, which is probably that time that they went out and did that, did that reconnaissance thing.
Yeah, it's about that time, yeah.
I was sitting there thinking, I could do with, like, because there wasn't really much going on. I was like, I could do with another encounter. Like, I kind of wish there was another encounter. However, we went back to the hotel. We did our sleeps. Wasn't that long of sleeps, about more than the day before. But when I got up the next morning, I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't do another encounter. Because I'm old and I am sore.
I was so sore, so bruised. I'm sorry, the worst injury I got was when I opened the gate and I walked backwards into the metal like thing, and I was like all bruised and just I woke up that morning and I was like, I am dead. I can't fight today. I can't even put my shoes on. How am I going to fight?
But we did fight. Sunday. So Sunday, I was a little bit like, because we didn't really know the, because I think I'm assuming a lot of the games they run work off a similar time frame, I'm assuming, because of what everyone was saying, and it makes sense to me
Yeah.
that they would because get into a routine of doing that type of thing.
Everyone kind of like prepped us, didn't they, for
Mm,
like a finale, like
yeah.
a finale battle. So the way that the timers work for the Sunday as well is like time out was meant to be like between 12 and 2, and it kind of like depended on where we were story time, which I really like because it felt like there wasn't like a rush to have everything done by a set time. It was like they've written it so it should end around about 12, but there's another 2 hours there to play with, sort of thing. It did actually end pretty much like on time though.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even keeping track of the time. So yeah,
No.
yeah, and it was a bit more of a relaxed time in. I'm glad people said that though. Oh, it was a bit more of a relaxed kind of time in.
Yeah.
We kind of we waltzed in there. They did supply like breakfast, but we skipped breakfast both days because we're not breakfast people. We're like, no,
We
let's
took our
sleep an hour.
Our Starbucks cups
That's right. Yeah. So
just for the joke.
yeah. We heavily considered like just putting them down somewhere. Just around about. I think people would have found it funny. We got some pictures with them though with the Starbucks
For
cups.
those of you who do not know, I think it was season 7 of Game of Thrones.
Of course, it was season 7. It was last season, right? So it was the infamous last
So
season.
I think it was like season 7 of Game of Thrones where there's a shot in Winterfell where Emilia Clarke, who plays Nurse, is sitting down and there's a Starbucks cup sitting in front of her on the table for one of the shots. And it made it to the final, obviously. And there was this whole sort of like back and forward of whose Starbucks cup was it, and this whole it became this like what I will say is it was kind of these like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. And it turned into a whole thing by itself.
Oh no,
so that's why we were like,
yeah.
It's funny, and we're like walking around with the Starbucks cups, and people were like, "Oh,
Yeah." Season 7 has become like a meme now, isn't it? It's just become
it is
a
a
whole.
meme."
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, no. We headed into the village, and again, yeah, it did feel like a real soft timing because we were talking out of character, like with everyone, blah blah blah. You went, oh, I'm just gonna nip off to the loo. I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, go for it. I was like, there's nothing happening, and literally as you left, there was some stirring, and like again, everyone's having sort of almost OC conversations, and then I hadn't noticed that none of the NPCs were in there. That's probably why we were talking OC because there was no like NPCs knocking about really. And then
The first clue, everyone.
yeah,
NPCs
and
have
then
gone.
at the gate to the village, the marsh keepers show up, and they all start coming through the gate, and the chief is like, right, you've taken our huts, you've eaten our food, you've taken our hospitality, and you're throwing it in our face. They're like, right, get out of here. We're gonna kill you, and probably
I
better said than that, but
I missed this bit. So I was like, I've got time. I'm gonna leave my swords here. I'm gonna leave everything here. I'm gonna run to the toilet, and I'm just like, do, and then all I hear is like,
we're all dying.
yeah, I hear people screaming. I was like, ah, come on. I'm like running back in with no weapons on me, like dodging people. And I did this whole thing where I was like running in. I was like, oh, okay, grab swords, fight people.
Yeah.
And all I hear is like people like, I was like running. I was like, what happened? And they're like, they turned on us. Oh, no shit. They turned on us.
Yeah. So the marsh keepers
Got
turn
that
on us.
much.
Yeah. So that now we're like the defenders, which is quite cool because it felt like the village was then ours, if you like, especially after the fight. So it was like we're now defending this position, which is really quite cool because they got like little watchtowers and they've got obviously the barricades and things like that, and they've got the little wall that goes around which had an opening in it, and obviously people were like, oh, watch the opening, so it kind of split us up a little bit.
Can I also say, like, going back slightly to like the previous night, there was so many little tiny hints from all the NPCs that we shouldn't trust these people.
Oh yeah, loads. They were pretty much spelling it out for us at the end.
Oh, they were pretty much spelling it out for us, yeah. Like all these little, like every clan, the one thing they all had common when we spoke to them was, yeah, don't trust them.
Yeah, don't trust them.
They lie. They
Like,
say this, they say that, you know, and it was like, oh,
yeah, I think we mentioned
okay.
this in the last episode. Yeah, because we
Oh,
kept
I think
getting
you did,
things. Yeah,
yeah.
we kept getting things like, oh yeah, no, they say that they've don't have anything to trade, but then they'll trade with other allies of ours, and they somehow manage to get all this stuff, you know, and they'll literally lie to your face, say we don't have anything, or we can't trade anything with you, you know,
Yeah.
or we don't have any of this type of food when we actually do, and so yeah, and then also when we talked, where after the whole like it all kicked off, and we were just like sat there with some of the NPCs, and we started because there was an NPC next to you that was telling you about like the chief, like you were like, oh, do you think how your clan leader feels, and he was like, no, not really, you know. It was just a bit sad, you know. It was like he's basically led the whole clan down this path of hatred.
Yeah, because I got really close to a couple of the NPCs that
Mm.
were playing the marsh
Yeah, we
keepers.
killed them all.
I know. One of the NPCs, I think I kept mentioning last episode, and I was like, oh, I really want to know who this person was who played them because they were so cool. Thanks for the like 5 people that sent me their Facebook. I'm gonna reach out now. I've got them. I've got them now. Okay. Just notify me like, oh, here's this person. I've got them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was so obviously we did this whole thing and we ended up getting into another fun fight, and like you said, we were then just like there with the whole place. But this is when like the veterans really did a good job when they came around to everyone and they were like, there's marsh keepers
Oh, yeah.
all over these lands.
Yeah, they did a
They're
good
all
job
over the lands.
of like moving the story along like quickly. You know, it's like, well, we don't have a lot of time today, out of character, don't have a lot of time today, so it's like, okay, it did. It felt ominous because it was like, oh, right, you know, we've just been attacked. We're here on our own. Okay, let's get the mission done, right? So we need to get the ponies and we need to sort the fens out, basically. So we needed to. I think the plan originally was like, right, we need to go speak to the Elk Clan, see if we can get these ponies
Yeah.
sorted, and then we need to go deal with the fen. But then, as we're talking about the Elk Clan, a couple of Elk Clan members come in, like dying with a baby bear. Like,
Oh, the bear.
the bear.
Oh, we were so
Yeah,
happy.
yeah, yeah. So it was.
Honestly, it just the entire camp
Hmm.
turned into a bloody meme. Honestly,
Yeah, it was quite funny.
every 2 seconds we were like, "Can I pet that dog?"
Yeah,
I
so
pet
the
that
bear,
dog.
like the bear came in, like, oh, but obviously, like we had Elk Clan, and then we had people chasing the Elk Clan. So we had marsh keepers like chasing the Elk Clan down, which was obviously a few Night's Watch were like, who, you know, again, it's completely on brief for like someone of the Night's Watch to just be like, I don't care, a wildling's a wildling. So half of us were like, don't hurt the bear, don't help the Elk Clan. So I got to admit, the NPCs, as I ran towards these NPCs, because I was like, I ran straight towards them. I've got to admit, I remember looking at one of the Elk Clan in the eye, and I think the Elk Clan was like, is he coming for me or is he coming for the marsh keeper? Like, because I was just like, right, no, I'm helping you. You know, I mean, we had to make it very obvious. It was like, oh yeah, I'm killing the marsh keeper and helping the bear and and the Elk Clan. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, it was just seeing the outcome of the bear and the interactions were just so beautiful. So this bear was hurt. Okay. We didn't at this point we didn't know what had happened. I think we established it had actually been poisoned. Um the bear's fine, everyone. I'm gonna start with that because if I was listening to this, I'd be sitting there be like, but is the bear okay?
the bear survived. Yes.
Bear's fine, it survived. They are having a wonderful life. They have a family.
Okay, that's
They're
enough.
eating non-poisoned berries.
That's
Sorry.
enough.
So yeah.
yeah, they were all
So the
poisoned.
bear
Yeah.
come in. And all I remember is people running around being like, we need a steward, and do any of you know how to treat bears? And then we're all like, we have a kennel master here. A bear is like a big dog, right? And then was all this back and forward of, we must have a vet. We have dogs. Do we really not have a vet? And this thing went all over the place until we managed to help a bear. So after this point, we finally decided to, make a plan. The Night's Watch actually made a plan at this point.
Yeah, we did.
We split off into our own groups and made some actual plans.
Yeah, I think the day before we had identified that we definitely need to stay in our own little groups. So it seemed like you guys in the Rangers did a similar thing to us. We went, right, okay, the builders wasn't actually that many builders, but we went, right, okay, we'll have two veterans, or three veterans and three new Swan Swords, right? And that's going to be our two units. It looked like you guys kind of did the same thing. You split yourselves into
Similar, yeah.
little units, and go, right, that's that person. So we established a chain of command, basically. We did that like the day previous. So in the morning, when the Marsh Keepers attacked, we instantly went, oh, we just went, what, builders? And we all clumped together. Everyone kind of clumped together, because it's so natural when especially when you're like, because this happens at Empire all the time. Something happens and everyone just runs towards the fun, the action, So having that there, just like, oh, there's Marsh Keepers like outside the wall with some of these rangers who find outside the wall. Having someone to be like, no, 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 builders, I want you here. And then once you have them, you're like, right, okay, we're gonna go flank around. It's so much better than being like, you and you, come with me, and I'm gonna go do this, and
Yeah.
yeah. Could we talk about some of the bear antics? Because
I was going to go on to the bear antics actually, because yeah, sure. I was going to say like we did like a really similar thing where the sense is that we split into three groups. We had one group was actually with the stewards. So that group, their entire job was to keep our remaining, like, I don't know, 1.5 steward alive. At this point, we were struggling. Another group was a floater group that was meant to go between everyone and make sure we had that control. And the other group was the vanguard. So I joined the vanguard, which was really fun. And at this point, the bear antics began. So I think we both saw different bear antics. Go for it, because this has got its own thing.
Oh no, yeah, because I remember now, because we had established like the builder setup really quickly. I think we even did it the day before. I remember like you guys were like talking forever over there while the stewards and the builders were just having fun with the bear. That's literally what was happening.
We all want to be the vanguard. It's like, can't all be the vanguard.
We want to be the vanguard.
We're all the vanguard. You cannot all be the vanguard.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
the vanguard are the ones.
The stewards.
Yeah.
No, you can't all protect the stewards. You need to split up. Yeah. Oh, we've all got big weapons. No, the big weapons can't go together. It was like a toddler gathering. I don't know how we all made rangers.
Yeah. It had that feeling. It felt like the. It felt like the builders were the dads, and the stewards were the mums, and the rangers were the kids. That literally what it felt like.
Big monster.
It was like, go on, don't go too far. Hey. Running back.
We're in the front.
I got a boo-boo. Help me.
Sure, help me.
Get mum.
Dad, I broke my thing.
Dad, can you fix this? Yeah, but we were having fun bear antics. The bear was like dancing. People were singing songs. There was someone who was like started to sing melodies, and it started singing and then following the person around. People, half the group wanted to kill the bear. They're like, oh no, it's a bear. Like, we should really kill it. It's going to be a beast. And it's like, no, there's someone walked in it. So you can't kill the bear.
Tell me someone sang the Bear in the Maiden Fair. Maybe someone sang that.
Maybe I don't. Yeah, again, is that? I'm assuming that's a song in the lore, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the books and the TV series.
Yeah. I don't know. You're more au fait with it than I am. But yeah, there was singing songs. Kyle's character. This was like a highlight for me. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Decided to. I think this was the second character of the event, and they decided to take this bear to the entrance just in case it went feral and if the person in it walked out of it. But they were the only, he was the only one to be like, oh, I'm going to do this because no one else cared. And he was like, right, come on, bear. Like, come, heal. And the bear just sat. I was struggling so hard to keep in character because the bear was so cute. And I was wanting to pet it and things like that and have a real good fun, but I'm like, no, I'm playing this serious character. I can't have a fun time with this bear. So yeah, we the bear was just being hilarious. until we went, right, okay, let's get the bear out of here, because it felt like it was a distraction. I think the crew started realizing that as well. They're like, okay, let's get the bear safely away from the camp, otherwise the players aren't going to do anything.
Anything but play with a bear.
They either want to kill the bear or they want to have like party with the bear. There's the two things that are going on. Either way, they're going to be distracted, you know. So the plan was to. So now, obviously, we had talk to the Elk Clan because they were there. You know, we didn't need to go and talk to the Elk Clan. The Elk Clan was there. So the members of the Elk Clan were just like, look, you know, we need the fen. You know, you were going to go deal with the fen anyway. You know, there's the settlement. There's the fen camp nearby. They need dealt with. We want rid of them. We'll give you as much help as we can, but our numbers have been depleted by the fen and the marsh keepers. You know, but the fen need to be got rid of. And we're like, cool. So Elk Clan, some of them are coming with us to help us out. They're not an issue anymore. The marsh keepers aren't really an issue anymore. There's just lots of them knocking about that might be kind of angry at us. So we were like, right, let's get out of here, out of Marshkeeper territory, head to the fens, head to the fen camp, destroy that camp, and then we get to go home to the wall and have a party or something. So that was the plan.
Yeah, it was just like So in our little ranger groups, we're there and we're like, oh yes, we're like sorting out our like how we're gonna. We basically all played with our weapons. We sat there and played with our weapons, okay, and figured out how we're gonna fight with each other. And then that's when the word got to us of like, you know, by the way, the bear might go feral. And we're like, well, how do we know the bear is feral? You know, well, if it looks like it passes out, then it might become feral and kill everyone. And then half the rangers went, well, we should kill it now. And they were like, no, wait. What if it's on our side? And everyone went, what if it's on our side? And then we stopped because the bear was lying down. We're like, is it happening now? And we all got our weapons. It's happening now. Well, it's okay. The Elk Clan are there. And we were like, I think I literally said something along the lines of, the Elk Clan will know. Like, they'll be able to tell. A member of the Elk Clan went up to the sleeping bear and kicked it a few times. The bear lifted its head. It was fine and put its head back down. And I was like, oh, they just kicked it. That's how we tell if it's going to eat it. What if it was feral? Would it have just killed that person? Everyone's like, they really love their bears. We're like, okay, let's leave the bear with the builders. And I'm sure it's fine. And we'll just run up in front. Fine.
Yeah.
Just acceptance of at some point this bear might maul us all to death.
So I remember coming up to you and being, because you went like, I'm in the vanguard, and I'm like, oh, okay, okay. I mean, I'm like, she's gonna die. I had
For the love of my life, I'm in the vanguard.
I had questions. Well, I mean, it was debatable whether Jonquil was Florian's love of his life, but as far as Jonquil knew. Hey, I mean, now that they've said they're doing more games, I don't think I want to divulge to you, just in case. So I'm in my mind, you know, being like, yeah, you're gonna die. And also, OC, I had in my mind, does Robyn know what the word vanguard means?
OC. I was at a one-shot, and I'm probably gonna die.
Yeah.
Where do I want to die? I literally had that thought to myself. I was like, where do I actually want to die? I was like, I want to die in the vanguard. Like, also OC again. There's this big group of rangers. And I know these people who are in the vanguard at OC. And I know that's maybe not the kind of thing you want to go for, but I was like, I really know these people quite well. I know Georgia quite well. And I was like, I kind of want to be with them because I know them and I feel like I can have some good role play with them. And I kind of wanted to stick with them, to be honest. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's go for that because that could be really cool. So yeah, I wanted to kind of stick with the vanguard. Plus, I don't have a lot of discipline and I always end up in the front. And I think if someone said you're not allowed in the front, I think I'd struggle to keep myself from running to the front anyway. And that's not necessarily fun for everyone else. So I was like, let's go for the vanguard.
So, and then commenced probably the most fun I've had at LARP. From this point forward, this was probably the most fun I've ever had LARPing. it was, I gotta admit, it was all combat from here on out, you know, like it was all combat. But again, it is like cinematic, just like, you know, story driven combat. So we had to leave, and we knew we were going to be attacked the entire time that we left, and we were from where we left. So we left the Marshkeeper village, and basically we went like down those kind of wooded pathway when we met the bears the day before and fought the Elk Clan, and then right away around to all like this woodland, and they must have taken us on a massive loop because it seemed to take forever to get around there, you know, and it felt like a couple of miles. I don't know if it is. I don't
Yeah.
know what distance it actually is, but
I think also it was constant threat, so it was a constant burst of energy on the way there.
yeah,
There was a lot
people
of combat.
people were dropping like flies as well. It was so suspenseful because we came out and oh god, so that little, this is where I said to you after the fact as well. I was definitely showing off. I like tried to show off to you like a couple of times. It was quite funny because the Rangers were like up front, being like, "Where's Rangers? Yeah, the Rangers." And they had a load of Rangers with the stewards, and we were like, as the builders, we were like, because we were smaller than the Ranger block. Even we split into two. And we were like, right, okay. So where are we going? We decided we'll go in the middle. So we ended up in the middle. We're going down that path. And there was like little stopping points, like almost like little laybys, right? Little stopping points. And there's a load of Rangers like fighting up front, and you're getting like hammered quite a bit, you know, like you like there's a lot of Fens coming at you, you know, and basically if we can't punch through, we're all just gonna die. It's like we need to get through this. So a load of the builders just went, should we go round? Cool, let's try go round. So we went round. Now, by the time we got all the way round and went through the foliage to get round behind the fen, some of the Rangers had pushed through, but not all the way through. So you were split. So you had Rangers fighting on one side and the other.
The vanguard was 5 Rangers.
Yeah.
So it was like that kind of hairy sort of situation of we didn't need many people to circle round. We just needed enough to make the Fens think they were surrounded.
Yeah. But there is nothing better when you're doing combat LARP than a line of your allies fighting with a line of your enemies and you flank them from behind. There is nothing better than that, you know? And, you know, so I see you guys fighting, and there are some on our right because they're pushing out into the other part, but your main and obviously the stewards are behind you. And I remember just like the builders coming up and being like, right, let's do it, you know, just like I just scream for the watch. Just like coming the back of you. I'm just like, take that, Rangers. Where's your vanguard now? It
was good fun. And then we carried on pushing forward, and then our little vanguard group, because we were given instructions and we went to go, and then we think we could climb down that hill over there. So we went over to, well, we can climb down this. And then out of character, this is when one of the crew came over and went, right, okay, out of character, this is steep. This is tricky to walk down. We think you can get down there.
Was that pit, like that ditch there? So when you came around and you went down that corner to the left, was it that bit?
It was when we went down the very steep hill, basically.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I know which part you're at, yeah.
So we were like, and they said to us, right, they said it was really clear. They're like, right, see that other big group of Rangers? They need to get there first so that you can come down. Because if you're rushing down, you're going to get hurt, basically. We're like, okay, cool. So we like fed that back and everything. We're like, right, and we're waiting, you know, we're like, okay, they're going to go down first. We got a bit itchy though, because we saw you guys all like halfway down the hill. We're like, they'll get there by week. It's going to take us so long to climb down this hill, and we need to do it stealthily. We may as well start. We pretty much slid down the hill and got to the bottom, and we're like, crap. We're here first. They've seen us. I will start fighting. It's fine. I must admit, by the time the rest of you got there, it was the builders got before anyone else. So I'm making the assumption the builders took a different route, because the builders appeared before all the rest of the Rangers appeared.
Yeah, that's what.
So I don't know if you guys took a different route.
I'm pretty sure we're talking about the similar things. So when we came around and we
It must have been the same, but yeah,
hit them from behind, then what happens? We hit those ones from behind. So and then once they were like dwindling, we turned around because there was a few rangers in that like dipped bit. So we were like, oh, we need to go help them. So we shot out in front as the builders. So then we were kind of ahead of a lot of you, you know. And then but there was still a bloodbath going on sort of behind us, around us, and then because they were constantly spawning on that hill in front of us. That's because there was like a dip, wasn't there, and then a steep hill as you start climbing up those woods. So they were all spawning like right on top of us. And there was lots of people going down, like lots of people going down, you know.
It was tricky. I will say, like, I think you experienced the same with the builders. Like our little vanguard group, I think we were all so close to one another in the sense that we all like had a lot of trust within one another because we were like using each other to try and get down that slope and trying to get places, and we all became really close and really comfortable, which actually just made things so much easier.
It makes roleplay better as well because when you're in a little group and there's like, you know, if there's 8 of you and one of you goes, you're like, oh, this person's gone. And everyone's like, what? That person's got like.
I had to rip George's ear off.
George was like,
just tear it off, just rip it off, just rip it off. And at first, out of character, I wasn't sure what she was talking about. I actually thought she talked about the bandage covering her eye because it kept dropping down. And I almost thought she was like take the bloody thing off. I'll just pretend it's pulling the rest of the skin off with it, sort of thing. I was like, okay, I'll let it pull it. Went, no, my ear. And I was like, oh, shit, sorry. Tied that back in place. And I was like, okay, ready. And we like ripped her ear off. I mean, at this point, if anyone's keeping track, Georgia is missing an eye and an ear, both on different sides. So I think she's still kind of balanced. More things will go missing soon. I don't know. I think she's missing a finger at this point as well.
Didn't she strap a like sword to her hand?
Oh, we tied her sword to her hand because she lost some of her fingers.
Yeah.
And most of us there.
Yeah.
So we carried on.
So yeah, it was rough. I will say this now that it's in my mind. So, like I had just like dyed my hair like completely silver, and I don't really get on too well with like fake blood in general. Like I don't. Yeah. So, I really did want to like, because I felt like this was a brutal battle, and at the end I was like, oh, I wish I was covered in blood at the end of the battle, and at the same time when I was driving home, like, I'm glad I'm not covered in blood. So, but yeah, no, it was. No,
I think I'd like explicitly told you, didn't I? Like at the start, I was like, don't let any fake blood get in your hair.
Yeah.
Because I had just bleached it, I had just toned it, and I was like, that blood gets into your hair, you will have pink hair for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Do not let it happen. No. We have an event next weekend. Do not let your hair get back pink.
So yeah, like once we got through that bit up onto the ridge, and then we're on that like incline in the woods, which was like the similar place that we've been on the Saturday morning. This was a real tactical one. This is where we could actually employ good tactics because it was way more open, you know. I'm not entirely sure what was great about this is that our tactics worked because we had small units that had a clear like someone in charge, and someone was in charge of like 4 people, right? And we had a load of people that were doing the same, and people weren't worried about what other people were doing. People were reacting, you know. People weren't being active. People were being reactive, you know, to what like the Vanguard were doing. So when you engaged, we were reacting, you know. So and then obviously the stewards were doing what the stewards were doing. At Empire, that's what. Yeah, obviously at Empire, that's what we want to do. I understand why it doesn't happen like that. I understand, like, but that's obviously why we're trying at like Empire, especially in like the Nation of Dawn. We need lances smaller. We need lances to be like 5 to 10 people. That's what like it's like these lances that have 50 people. It's just a big blob. You know, it's just a big blob that goes so, and it really hit home when we did this beautiful split. right? So as the builder, again, because sometimes when you're at a LARP, you're like, I'm so excited, I want to just run at the front, especially at Empire, because like you're all geared up, you've been waiting for this for months, it's a big battle, it's awesome, and everyone just like goes to the front. You end up with just this long line from field end to field end of people like stood in the front having a fight with an orc. So when people say, oh yeah, okay, we're in reserve, we're not going to go in, those people are going in. You don't want to hear that sometimes at Empire, but at this stage in this game, we had done loads of fighting. You don't feel like you're missing out on fighting. So when, as my veterans like, okay, well, no, you guys stay here, builders here, okay, we'll see, and like what we're doing, okay, we'll see what the Rangers are doing, and again we reacted. So we had like the Rangers kind of went up to engage. We were just in like reserve. We're in reserve, and reserve pretty much meant backup, and reserve pretty much meant flankers, right, in the end, because
Yeah, it did.
yeah. So as you engage, and because you were in separate groups, you engaged on two sides. There was a beautiful little gap in here, and we were just stood like 5 or 6 of us, and as the fence engaged, we just ran through that gap, flanked, bang, straight into them, and we just
So
wiped them out instantly.
yeah, like
It was
I remember
beautiful.
us like discussing this at the time and like having our veterans there and everything and us like engaging. I remember us being like, we're going to get flanked here. I remember the veterans being like, no, we have the builders back there. The builders are not going to let you get flanked. You need to trust them, sort of thing. We're like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, sure, yeah. So we're going to trust that we have Night's Watch behind us, and we're not going to even look behind us. We know that builders are back there. We've got Night's Watch. We're just going to engage here even though it feels like we are getting completely surrounded. And yes, then the builders come through at the right moment to like flank everything around the sides. So yeah.
So yeah, I'm just talking from like a LARP experience. I don't have any like real life combat experience in that. I'm sure there's people that, and I know for a fact that people on the field that do actually have real life wisdom on these types of things. But just from anecdotally from me, and seeing it a lot now. Funnily enough, we came back from another LARP this weekend, which was an Empire player event. A similar thing happened. So like I said, everyone runs to the front and goes, "Oh no, there's gaps." Exactly the same thing happened. So there was like there was a group of Dornish knights. This is a small scale player event. It's not big battle, but there was a group of Dornish knights. I didn't have any armor on, and there's a few of us that didn't have any armor. Well, at least a couple of us that didn't have any armor on. I just had a big sword, no armor, so no shield. And there was a gap, and the Dornish knights were like, "Oh, fill the gap," and I'm like, "You don't need the gap filled. You're fine," because you feel like you said, you feel like when you're at the front, when you are the front line, it feels like you are vulnerable on your side because you can't. But behind you, I'm like, look, I've got a big freaking sword. If they run through that gap, that is their death. They are not going to run through it. Do not worry. We want them to come in.
It's that trust. It's
Mm,
trusting the people around you.
yeah.
And as
Whereas
soon
if
as
I
you
fill the
have that
gap and
trust,
someone shoots me, I can't
you're
protect
gone.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I can't do that. So what we did in this game is that similar thing. Like there was like you said, you had to have trust that you had units behind you. That's the problem with being the front line is you can't see what's behind you. So,
Yeah.
but it was beautiful. We just cut through, and also that's the thing when you're excited, you want to be on the front lines, you want like to fight in LARP, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fight, even though we were told, okay, stay back, stay back. It doesn't mean we weren't going to get any action. We just watch you do all the killing. We actually dispatched of them in an
Yeah.
epic and efficient way that made us feel like absolute heroes. So yeah, that's what we want in. That's what we want in Dawn. Maybe I should just say this story in character. Maybe I should make up an in character story of.
I'm pretty sure we've just fought in the Barrens for like 10 years. I'm
Mm,
pretty sure this would have happened at some point.
yeah, yeah. Moving on though. So that was pretty. I don't think we lost anyone on that push. We ended up pushing up the hill. Then we had to pretty
We
much
did.
go.
No, we did.
Yeah. Oh, did we?
So what was the next part actually? And I can fill
Well,
in because I
we
know
went
we lost a few
yeah,
people
we went
here.
up the hill, and then it was a matter of going down into the ford, like down into the dip. There wasn't actually a ford there, but I'm assuming it's like a little dip
Right.
into the
Okay.
ford.
Okay.
So the Rangers went all the way around, But so the two separate rangers. So there was a couple of rangers that went with the stewards, and they went
Yeah.
down the steep hill to the left, and a load of the rangers went all the way around to the right. But ended up like we were on top of the hill, seeing the other side of that little valley as builders, and went, well, the stewards are going to get screwed because we saw all these fens coming towards where the stewards were, and the rangers were way over there.
We had 3 groups of rangers though. So we had one group with the stewards, one group that was floating, and we had 5 of us that were vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, did you go through that little tiny narrow thing and cross the little streamy bit?
No.
'Cause that's where all the stewards went. So as the builders,
I wasn't with the stewards, so no.
Yeah, no. So as the builders, we were like, right, okay, well, where are we needed? And we ended up being like on the top of the hill again. Like there's a little ford, so it's like there's a hill going down, and then obviously we can see the other side. So we needed to be on the other side. We saw the stewards head down to go like the shortcut, and the rangers went the long way round. So you went off to the right. It was that. Remember that road that we were like?
I don't remember.
Okay, so there was a road going up a hill, and a load of people started walking up that way, and they went, "Oh, by the way, that's the wrong way." Like the crew were like, "That's the wrong way." And, yeah.
Oliver, this is the same story I said where ages ago when I was like, we went down that steep hill. That's what you're talking about right now, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay. 5 of us went down that steep hill. Everyone else was with you guys.
Right. Okay.
So we had a tiny little group that went down that steep hill.
Yeah.
And this is when we were told we had to wait until you lot had got to the bottom, and we were like holding on to trees, waiting, being like, "We're just going to start going down."
So you weren't with. Oh right. No, I know where. I know where you were. I know where you. So yeah, there were 3 groups then. So there were you guys. The larger group of rangers went the long way round. Which we didn't know it wasn't the fact that it was the long way around. They just thought they were going to hit the fens. But from our point of view, as the builders, we saw the fens coming towards the stewards, and the rangers could not see them. And we were like, rangers.
That makes so much more sense now, because you told me so a few times, and every time I'm like, what are you talking about? Because we had our group of 5 were not meant to go with the stewards. We were the vanguard.
Yeah.
So we literally saw a shortcut, and we're like, we're going to head down there so we can flank down there.
Yeah.
And while we've got one group that are floating and one group with the stewards.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
They were meant to be now. Remember where the builders were as well. I think.
Yeah. So as the builders, we were like, which way we go? Because obviously then we saw the steward. We were going to follow the stewards, but we were still on top of the hill by the time we decided. And so we saw the fens moving down to start engaging with the stewards, and the rangers, with the majority of them, were just miles away, and they were just like taking their time. And obviously, we were shouting across, or our veteran was shouting across, being like, "Get into the fight! Like you need to hurry!" And they're like, "Piss off!" You know, like, no, you actually need to hurry because they're about to get done.
Because we were told we were like, wait, because I remember I was saying to you, I was like, we're waiting. We're like, why are they not down there yet? They need to move.
Yeah.
Because we were like sitting there, we're like. I was literally holding onto a tree because it was that steep, and I was like, "Are they moving?"
Yeah,
because we're just going to slide down this hill at this point.
So we are now fighting in a valley now, which was a real intense intense fight because we had people like coming. Obviously, they always had the high ground. They were always coming from behind us, from in front of us, and we were just being harassed. And the thing was, it was like a constant thing of like. Where are the stewards at? Our stewards are like dropping like flies. They were the only ones that could heal us. And obviously every time we were like, you know, we ran up to the front, we would get attacked from the side. Then when you ran up the hill to be like, the problem was obviously when they have the high ground, it's difficult to be like, should we engage? Should we not engage? And obviously physically it's hard to run up those damn hills. So, and then by the time you got up the hills, the stewards were getting attacked from behind. We were like, oh, to the stewards. We were having people drop, and then obviously being like, we don't have time to heal them. We need to get moving. I think that was what was really exciting about this whole sequence is that we had to keep moving. That was really cool.
We lost our leader here as well. We lost our veteran at this point.
Oh, did you? Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. When you were like, oh, we lost him. I was like, yeah, no, we lost our veteran at this point.
Well, yeah, because I was talking about the time the before in the big dip.
Well, it might have been before. Like we lost her basically. A lot of it was because I was just constant combat and it didn't stop to kind of. I at no point was I standing back. Watching things, I was always in the front, so I felt like we were just constantly going. Our veteran died, I saw a veteran go down, and I like was like checking in on them and got them up, and we carried on going. But then they'd gone down again, and we'd lost our veteran. At that point, we kind of went, right, well, our veteran's gone. We're still the vanguard. We still need to carry on doing what we were doing. So we just kept going from that point onwards, trying to kind of like continue what we were doing without our veteran until we managed to get to the other ranger veterans. And this is when we obviously all split off differently, because we needed other ranger veterans to help here and everything. And luckily they were all like freaking awesome. So we lost that veteran. And then the next bit I remember actually is when we then kind of actually stopped for a bit and we're able to have a bit of a breath.
Yeah, so we found a some of the people that had players that had died started rolling in as NPCs. So they were like, playing NPCs. They
It
were
was
like,
great. Every time we lost them, we were like, great. We'll be fighting them in a few minutes.
well, yeah, because some of them were NPCs that we started fighting, and some of them like came back as Night's Watch members. So as we came, one of them was like, oh yeah, I've found some bits and pieces. Because we then went, right, okay, there's going to be a gate. We need to get through that gate. Builders, we need a way to get through that gate. We're like, cool, we can build a battering ram because we're builders and we're awesome, right? And as we got to this little shed, there was a fizz rep of a battering ram inside. And a Night's Watch member was like, "Oh yeah, I've gathered a few bits and pieces. This is where I've been this whole time. A few bits and pieces." And we're like, "Cool, we'll go in." So the builders went in and pretended we were building a building. What was really weird is there was like a someone whose backstory, they were farrier. Another one I was with, one of the builders I was with building the thing was like, oh, I used to be a blacksmith, and I was like, well, I don't know anything about that. I used to be a sailor, it's really weird for me.
The thing is, Oliver, the fact that I noticed, like, obviously, in real life, you are a farrier. And they actually had like an anvil and stuff. If you noticed, in like right at the start, there was an anvil, like a real anvil. Everything was sitting there, and I was like, you could really, like, it would be. I know it's something that you wouldn't want to like steer into because you're like, no, that's my day job.
No, I
But
would
I think
totally
a lot of
NPC
people
as
would.
an actual working farrier. I would totally do that.
Honestly, they had the whole setup there. You could have quite easily grabbed some stuff and just started making some shoes or just shaping some horseshoes and stuff and doing some things there. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people would have been like, that is so cool and cinematic to have in the background. So feast your eyes if you want an NPC
If you want
farrier, blacksmith
if
in
you
the
want
background.
an epic NPC that's going to shoe a horse,
He will shoe a horse in the
I
background
will
for
literally shoe a
you. There
horse
you
if
go.
I can get hold of a decent horse. I will totally do that for you. Especially in that setting, 'cause it's quite quiet as well.
I can feel everyone's comments now of, I know a horse for this.
Anyway, so we got this battering ram. By the way, so that battering ram, it was like a 4-person like log with 4 handles. 4-person log, that sounded really weird. It was a log with 4 handles. The image
It
in
didn't
my
sound
mind.
weird, Ollie, until you said that. I was gonna say it.
Yeah, let's get on this 4-person log. So yeah, the fizz rep for this log was actually had some weight to it. So it was made of foam and that, but it actually had a core that was quite substantial.
Oh, I thought it was log. I thought it was an actual log.
No, it wasn't a log. No, it wasn't that heavy, right? So
I was like, oh my gosh, he's so strong.
So
Look
we
at
need,
that.
yeah. I'm just like stood here while we're all role playing, la la la. So we needed to get. I'm doing the hand signals for the gate. So we needed to. We needed to. We knew we needed to get through a gate, and we knew that obviously we had a little bit of downtime. One to OC like catch our breath and wait for the crew to obviously get into their positions and do the thing. The plan was to batter the door down of the encampment and set fire to their stores. Right. That was a plan. So OC, we had like little. Some of us, a couple of us had little smoke grenades. One of them being Jay, who's been on the podcast before. His character, he was a builder, a veteran builder, had a little smoke bomb. And so that obviously the plan was to the builders were to break down the door, the rangers were to fly into the fort and start killing things, and the people who had the explosives would go into the towers and blow them up. That was the
That was the
plan.
plan.
Yeah.
So, like with the Rangers, we had to then like reassess our groups. We'd lost a veteran, and we'd kind of started a bit, so we had to reassess. And we needed a group to protect the builders and run in. So I wanted to be in that group, of course. Pretty much the whole vanguard went, yeah, we're in that group. We're doing that. We're in the front as long we can do it. And we were down to like our two ranger veterans. Um, and one of the veterans was like explaining exactly what to be done. I was like, yeah, okay, I know what to do. This is another person I want to reach out to because the role play I had with this person was awesome. I don't remember their IC name. They had like black hair, shaved sides, up in a bun. Awesome role play like all weekend. I was just like, they were great. So they'd explained what had to happen, and we were like, right, okay, so we want to be in this part here. Um, and the next stage, once we'd all actually had a rest, I think out of character, everybody did need a bit of a rest and a sit down. So that was all handed to us. And then we headed up the hill towards like this gate, didn't we?
Yeah, so what was quite funny was that again, this experience of this game has been magnified by the fact that you and I, this is our first time at this site as well. So everything we saw was brand new. That was the thing. So as we obviously, this fort had obviously been used quite a few times in their other games. This is the first time I'd ever laid eyes on the fort. So it, like, my immersion was really high. I was like, all right, okay. They're like, right, we're going to this fort, and I'm like, I have no idea what to expect. So we're carrying this up, and everyone's like marching up the hill at quite a rate, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be role playing carrying this heavy battering ram up, and also like, there was only four of us carrying the thing, and I'm like, hey, this is what I get for being a builder. Everyone wanted to be rangers, and I'm like, haha, I'm a builder. I get to do the battering ram thing. Awesome. So we're going up this hill. Now we had this plan of being like, okay, you need to go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, bang, 3, 2, 1, bang into the
Yeah.
thing. We had this technique of how we were going to use the battering ram. As we climb this hill, we start going faster and faster. Then we see the fort. A load of rangers are already on, like, backs against the walls, ready to go.
Yeah, I was like down, like on my knees, ready to go in, being like, right, okay,
Yeah.
let's take a few hits, let's
We're already
get ready.
walking at quite a speed. We're pretty much running at this gate, and we're just like, okay, and we're just like, the immersion must be so high that we didn't think, oh yeah, this isn't a real gate. There isn't going to be actual people bracing it, and we just went, ah! And just slammed this thing into this gate. The gate obviously like goes open because it's a LARP, right? So the gate obviously goes like that, opens, and we do this little like loading screen thing. We're just like, okay, as the doors open, and there's a little moment where we're like, oh, we didn't, because we expected to be like, oh, and like give it a few hits. So it just obviously just pops open. There's a load of Fen just like looking at us, and we're like, and even the Rangers are like, okay, it was probably only a couple of seconds, but it felt like a complete buffering moment. And then we were like, oh, what do we do?
Like,
Luckily, there wasn't a load of archers waiting for us to batter that door down. Otherwise, we would have just been dead.
so like, yeah, we all like started to run in, and what I did notice is so first I didn't actually expect this. This was the same for so like our character. This is where we actually started off at the weekend. We started off at this fort. We went through those doors right at the start of the weekend and everything. So when we came up and I saw the fort, I was like, oh my gosh, we're back here again. I did not expect that at all.
Wait, when did we go to the fort?
Where we started. It's where we did all the training. Do you
Oh,
remember?
it was! Oh my god, yeah. Oh, it was! Because
We're
we
in
were on
two
the other
groups.
side. Because we were on the
Four.
other
Two
side.
groups.
Yeah, that's right. We were on the other side. Yeah. We were on the other
'Cause
side, and we never went through the doors.
My
Yeah.
group went through the doors.
That's right. That's where they were keeping our weapons. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So we go through it. Now, in the little tower things, there's people hiding in there. And I think I got sick of being like, be careful, there's people in there. Because it was just a sort of like running thing of every single time somebody walked past, they were getting hit by someone who was hiding inside there. I was like, they'll all work out, it's fine. And we were like heading in. And the next thing I remember was Jay with this like smoke bomb and like cover me. I need to go and like set this over there. Like okay,
Yeah.
I don't know how to cover someone.
It's so cool. So then obviously the smoke, because they're just like smoke grenade things, right? So like,
Red smoke grenades, and
yeah.
as they all went off, the crew were like, "This is fire."
Hmm.
Like, yeah, you're gonna run in here. It's fire. It's basically forcing everybody out of these little hidey holes,
Yeah.
if you like. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, and then we proceeded to fight waves and waves of Fen in this fort, and
this was
oh,
so
what a
cinematic.
what a good time. What a great time this was.
So, for those of you who are fans of the show, the episode called "The Watchers on the Wall," where you have that beautiful cinematic shot where it's going around and there's all these individual fights, and not one is more important than the other. They are all equally as epic and as vital to get that ending that they're after. Every single person is important, every single moment is necessary. That's what it felt like being in this fight. I would turn around and I would see, my ranger friends fighting alongside builders to end someone. I'd look to the other side and see someone get surrounded, but suddenly this red smoke would come out and engulf the other people, and it was so epic. The part of me just wanted to watch what was happening.
Yeah, it was. I totally agree, because you felt like you were jumping into other people's narratives. So every time you turn, you would be fighting one, and you would turn around, and then there was another character there fighting another, and you knew that when you jump in, you get to be part of their narrative. So someone was like, oh, and they'd be struggling, and then you'd come up, and you'd be like, well, I know I've got a sword free, so you'd run up to them and stab the person that was like holding them down, trying to stab them, and you'd come up and you'd be like, ah, like that, and then the Ben would die, and you'd help them up, and then they would run off somewhere else as you turn around, and then you get accosted by a couple of Fen. Then someone comes in and then saves you. It was so good. There was so many little like you said, so many little narratives going on as well. There were people dying, people having their heroic moments. It was so
Yeah.
good. It was so good.
There was so much. It's
Mm,
like to actually go through it all is ridiculous. But I
mm.
think to pick out a few, and what you told me about Maz and Maz's
Oh,
character
oh,
and
yeah.
the Ironborn, that sounded incredible.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, so this was right at the end. This was right at the end. So there was a big battle. It was very cinematic. It was very um, dramatic when the last Fen fell, and we were like, we did it, awesome. And then we had, obviously, a lot of people had died. Again, it's like, so from a gameplay point of view. Like, obviously, if you are being surrounded and pummeled, you might be like, oh, am I going to die? But it is completely up to you.
yeah, it's
I
up to
love this
you.
rule set of, like, if you're like, I want my character to die, you could literally have just been like, oh no, I got stabbed in that last encounter, I'm not going to make it. And then they die. So we had a lot of people that, were starting to get laid out dead. People were like, no, having their own narratives that kind
Oh,
of
I've got a
wrapped
whole
up the
thing that
weekend.
happened here actually because this was crazy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
well,
go.
we'll start with the Maz one. I'm going to tell you what happened here because this was crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because you just bring up the mouse one, but that was a good example of, like, a little kind of narrative kind of wrap up. So, the entire weekend, Maz's character had been like, oh yeah, the Ironborn, like, making sly comments about the Ironborn, being like, oh yeah, well, it won't matter if they die, this, that, the other, blah blah blah.
To give
Um,
like background here as well, Maz's character was from Bear Island. Now, Bear Island and the Ironborn typically have been at war a lot in the past. This is due to the fact that Bear Island is on an island and they share that coastal line. The Ironborn have had rebellions throughout history, and Mazzy's character quite proudly announced the amount of Ironborn they had killed over the years and so on. This was like a big thing between these two parts. Those people from Bear Island and the Ironborn do not like each other. They do not get on, and this is spanning back, like hundreds and hundreds of years. This is a long battle between them historically. So now, fast forward to the Night's Watch, we have an Ironborn and somebody from Bear Island who volunteered to come and fight here.
Well, why, like, from a person point of view, that it stuck out to me is because Maz's character had not only been like, oh yeah, you know, I don't like Ironborn constantly all weekend, but she'd also said a few things about people like getting killed. People get so she had this thing where she kept being like, you know, well, if you don't have any friends, you're gonna die. Like, you know, it's like, so like when one of them got captured, like when we're talking about the Lannister and things like that, it's just like, and then one of the other Ironborn got captured the night before. She was like, ah, well, that's what happens when you don't have any friends. Then you know you're gonna die because no one cares about you. You know, if you have friends, people will care about you. People will save you. And so the battle was over, and there are people, and they're getting read their last rites by the sept, and we were at, like, a couple of us like, oh, we need someone just do a perimeter. We knew out of character that was the end, but it was like, it makes sense in character that a couple of us like keep an eye out just in case, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm fine, I don't need to watch this, so I'm like, I'm gonna just walk around and do a perimeter while that's going on. And as I'm like walking around, I see like Maz and this Ironborn, and they're like talking, they're role playing together, and Maz's character's like, "You never guess who saved me," you know. And it's the fact they were having this moment, you know, and they were like, "Oh well," you know, and they're like, "You know, you're not that bad after all," you know, this type of thing. And it just had a nice little narrative bow on it, because I'm just like, yeah, well, and I looked around, and obviously as I was talking to them, I looked at the people that were alive, and I was like, you know, and it kind of held true that it's like, oh yeah, if you have friends, if people look out for you, then you will survive. And obviously that Ironborn looked out for Maz's character, the Bear Island character, and they both survived, you know. So it was a nice little kind of I like that thing, and it was the fact that you had all these little narratives going, and that's just what LARP is, you know, have all these little narratives.
The death that got me was George's character, because I was like, you know what, if anyone goes here, I don't see a big reaction to my characters. No many people here, obviously, apart from Florian. She'd be a bit like, okay. When her character went, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. A lot of roleplay moments with character for the weekend. It's fine. It's fine. She's gone. She's gone to warrior. I knew it was gonna happen. It was when her, I'm gonna say, love interest from what the story was bringing us over the weekend, when her love interest was crying. I had real tears in my eyes and I couldn't stop it. I went up to her and put my arms around her. And she's like, no, you need to be strong. You need to end this. You need to end it for her, because otherwise she died for nothing. And I did this whole thing with this character. This character, by the way, I barely said 2 words to all weekend, which kind of made a bit of a difference. The fact that I was just like, no, you need to stay strong, because she is a warrior and she died as a warrior. And how dare you break down when there's still enemies there to fight? And it was just so like, it was pretty incredible. It was so strong, and the emotions that came from it. Oh my gosh. I remember, like, after that, walking up to you, you'd done your perimeter, and I remember walking up to you and putting my hand like up on your chest, feeling that you were like still there and still alive. I'm partially kind of thinking, you know, have we done it? Have we actually managed to do this? Or is something else going to happen here? And I remember that sort of like moment with you just at the end there.
Yeah. I know. So tying things up in a nice bow for the builders. One of the Elk clan was there, and yeah, our veteran went over and said, "Hey, you know, we're after some ponies. And they're like, hey, with all that you've done for us, you can have the ponies. Cool. Yeah, we were like stood together. The thing is, we didn't actually spend a lot of time together, like in that entire encounter either. Like, even though I'm saying that was my favorite bit of LARP that I've ever done, most fun in LARP that I've ever done. Majority of the time, I was just like, the times I interacted was just like coming, either you were saving me or I was saving you from a fen. Basically, that was it. You know, it was really cool that we just had that crossover kind of story. You know, like ships crossing paths. You know,
Yeah.
type thing. And then yeah, as we stood there together, then it was like, all right, time out. You know, and yeah, what a great game. It was honestly.
It was it was absolutely epic.
Mm.
Every moment of the game was epic. The check-ins OC were just beautifully done. I took so long to come down from this game. And even now, like talking about it again, I'm just like, I want to be back there.
Yeah, well, we might get the chance.
We might get the chance.
We might get the chance.
That thought of being able to play those characters as veterans is just incredible.
Yeah.
And what I will say is, after our first feast your eyes event, I 100%. Well, we know we're coming back, but I 100% would go back to games. I would 100% like to crew going forward as well, because this felt like, at first it felt like this was a full family that we'd stepped into, almost a family of people who knew one another so well, who were so comfortable around one another and so trusting. And by the end of the weekend, it felt like we were part of that family, and I think that's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was great. We need to wrap this up now because we're like definitely we're kind of over time. Thank you, Feast Your Eyes for a great game. Thank you to the crew, a lot of the crew members that I have LARPed with you before, but all of you were absolutely fantastic. My fellow players, what a great time, especially the veteran builder players. I got great role play with all of you. Yeah, I was so stoked after this game. I had so much fun. Anything else you want to say before I wrap up?
Pretty much exactly the same as you. Like the group that I had, like the veteran rangers were amazing in what they did. The fact that this game was laid out that you could really go for whatever you wanted, regardless of your hard skills, I would say as well. Like, I was there, I wanted to be a ranger, that's what I wanted. Now, my backstory lent me towards something else. And everything was pointing to something else, but they really took into consideration the fact that I, as a player, I wanted to be able to be a ranger. That's what I wanted, and they made it happen. And I had the most fun, the most epic role play. The NPCs were wonderful. Honestly, I cannot wait to do something like this again. And I've already mentioned Elle like quite a lot so far, but I just want to say, Elle, your acting range is incredible because you played so many different roles this weekend, and every role was so different. And I really enjoyed getting to interact with every single role that you played. And the whole lot of you are wonderful. It really shows how great EYELarp and Feast Your Eyes are at picking out their crew and making them feel like they can really go for it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if you enjoyed the show, make sure that you follow, make sure you subscribe so you know when a new episode is posted. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform, leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a comment down below. We do also have a Patreon if you want to support us over here at To Have To Roll. You're under no obligation to do so. We just appreciate the help. But yeah, make sure you share this around. I will be putting all of the links to Feast Your Eyes, to the photo galleries as well. Hopefully we will be doing more of these in the future, of these types of one-shots, different types of LARPs, smaller LARPs. Hopefully we'll go back to Feast Your Eyes. I'm pretty sure we'll go back to Feast Your Eyes. Hopefully we'll try some EYELarp. I know we are looking at other games that run at Eversley as well. You can go check out our back library of our podcasts if you want to hear some of our Empire stories. Go and check out some of the guests that we have mentioned in this game previously. It's got all the guests for you to go and enjoy. Until the next time, though, we love you very much and stay safe.